Bitcoin scam.
Oh my God, this was such a
Obama,
crazy
Tesla
day.
Founder Elon Musk, even Microsoft's Bill Gates, just some of the big names targeted by con artists.
Oh God. And I made a video about it because it's literally a RuneScape scam, doubling money. Double your GP in Varrock Square. I'll trim your rune armor. And it worked. The scammer got a lot of money. Oh yeah, Obama was also in the hack. Yep, Obama was doubling Bitcoin that day. It was wild. It was amazing. Fucking Jesus Christ Twitter account was probably promoting it. Like, they got all of the big ones and apparently made off with 4.1 million, but got caught. I never knew they got caught. I thought they got away with it, so this will be a really interesting ride.
People between the ages of 13 and 25 who are living in their mom's basement, existing off Uber Eats, never leaving their homes, and all of a sudden, they're instant millionaires.
On the 15th,
man, that's like racist against gamers. What are you talking about?
A 17-year-old infiltrated Twitter, posting a Bitcoin doubling scam to the accounts of numerous celebrities.
Being called the biggest security incident in Twitter's history.
Former President Barack Obama, Tesla founder Elon Musk, even Microsoft's Bill Gates.
It netted him $117,000.
Damn, he looks like a fucking psychopath.
To a teen who, at the time of his arrest, was found with 3 million more. And when I did some digging, I found that he has a long history of internet fraud and extortion. So today, I'm going to tell you the untold story of Graham. How he went from stealing thousands on Minecraft to robbing millions from CEO hedge fund types to getting involved in a homicide
Minecraft to
and
big
eventually
crime.
Getting greedy and hacking Twitter.
Story as old as
before
time.
He was 18. This is going to be a wild ride into the seedier sides of the internet, so buckle up.
I'm surprised he didn't start in RuneScape. That's where a lot of scams
shit,
are started.
Your channel's literal shit. You get 0 views. I'm basically your fucking channel, dude. Might as well say open makes MC vids. Come on now.
They work together and they scam, like Minecon capes. Like they sell Minecon capes and it's a scam.
Man, Minecraft really is a gateway drug to some degeneracy.
Last month off of Minecraft.
I know you're DDoSing.
I didn't hit him
Thanks
off.
to 2 new subs, River,
Him off.
and
It's
the 10
not
new
your
subs,
first time
Havoc.
DDoSing someone.
Thank you, Havoc.
I only believed it because of
5 new subs,
his YouTube channel, because he has subs, but
it's actually ridiculous some of the stuff that Graham got up to in 2016 when he was just 14 years old. But most of all, I found that this era of his life really highlights something important about his personality. See, Graham was running what was a rather large YouTube channel for the niche that he was in. He was doing videos on a Minecraft game mode known as Hardcore Factions, and in his videos he was extremely charismatic and charming. But underneath this act, he was really leveraging and taking advantage of his audience to scam them for money. And worst of all, when exposed, he would show zero regard for right and wrong. He literally didn't care what other people thought of him. Look, what we're about to explore on the surface is just the shenanigans of a young teenager. But what it helps us understand is how he was able to make a seemingly small leap out of this world into committing his later, much more serious crimes.
I mean, we should have known he was up to no good. He was using TeamSpeak in 2016.
To arrive at this point in his life?
Discord existed back then.
Very little is known about his childhood, other than that he was raised by his mom, a single parent. As you've seen already, he certainly appears to have been a troubled youth, perhaps at risk to get involved in any sort of crime. But I would bet money on Hardcore Factions being his first introduction to the dark side of internet fraud and extortion. There's a lot of context here, so let me explain. See, this game mode was originally devised and hosted by Chapo Network. It was a twist on the already notoriously toxic game mode, Factions PvP.
Never heard of it.
At its core,
but I've never
players
been a big
formed
Minecraft
teams,
guy.
aka factions. They would build bases to store their loot, and they would fight members of other factions with the hopes of beating them so they could raid their bases for the riches and bragging rights.
Sounds fun.
This new hardcore version had a couple of twists that really pitted players against each other. The most intense of these changes is that if you were killed, you would be banned from the server for the duration of your playtime. And this gave players time to stew,
and it bricks your computer,
coming up with a plan for revenge, even
you
if
die
it
in the game, you die in real life.
Game.
Thanks to the bits, Havoc, and the resub.
During this era, Minecraft cheating clients were becoming extremely popular due to griefing teams on YouTube
Havoc,
glamorizing their destructive nature. And Hardcore Factions was no exception to this. With the stakes so high, it was almost irresistible. Extraing was one thing, but the real power was in the PvP cheats. players were almost forced into it to remain competitive. Now, that said, I don't think the actual cheating was the worst part. No, the worst part was the culture around these clients. See, hardcore faction players were known for DDoSing, account hijacking, and even swatting. The hack client culture had permeated into these servers. There was, and still is, an overlap between Minecraft cheating and actual hacking communities. You know, I remember...
What's the point, though? Forum. Do we have any, like, Minecraft competitive enthusiasts? Like, what do you get out of cheating in Minecraft? Like, in RuneScape, I understand why there's so much cheating and so much foul play there, because you can make real money off it, and some of those scammers, some of those botters make a full-blown living. But what do you get from Minecraft? Like, there's no currency in Minecraft you can sell. Just clout? I'm number 5 in the world in Minecraft. He's gonna come in here and tell lies to me like that? Lie right to my fucking face? Okay. So you really just get bragging rights and clout, I guess. That doesn't really seem worth. Thanks for the gift sub suddenly, and the resub super, and the prime. Kyo?
A young teen than myself, and that place was literally my first introduction into the world of booters, dump databases, credential stuffing, remote administration tools, you name it. They were using all those techniques there to procure hacked Minecraft accounts. On Hardcore Factions, people were literally purchasing and selling stolen accounts known as alts for a few pennies each to continue playing during that period after death. But for some,
there's a little
like
incentive.
Graham, they would end up exploring these techniques outside of the context of Minecraft. It was like a stepping stone, because these same techniques could be applied to get into any type of online account. Banks, social media, crypto exchanges, you name it.
Oh, that's a good title for this section.
Open you a beach, scamming piece of shit, say you make 5K a month. That's bullshit. Scamming kids for $30, hit a bitch up. You can't get a holla, man. Shut the fuck up.
Now, of course.
Now that was fire. I don't know who that was. That might have been Playboy Cardi on the track. I'm not sure. That man rhymed shit with bullshit and shut up and fuck up. Or no, hit a bitch up and shut the fuck up. So up with up and shit with shit. That's innovation. That's pretty good.
Of course, just being involved in these communities, Graham didn't immediately break into high-level social engineering overnight. There was a series of events that seemed to have led Graham down that path, each step of the way less innocent than the one before. And you know it's bad when someone makes a 6-minute-long diss track chronicling all that you've done wrong.
Say you care about your fans, man. You don't give a fuck. Scamming, doxing, dusting, faking, boy, where does it end?
See, Graham first broke bad between 2016 and 2017 on his YouTube channel where he mainly posted trapping videos. Those are clever ways to kill other players in hardcore factions. And he did all this under his Minecraft name, OpenHFC, and later just Open. That username is important, by the way, and very telling, but we'll get back to it shortly. Now, instead of finding legitimate ways to monetize his niche internet micro-celebrity fame, instead he turned to devising little scams to rip off his audience, often with an accomplice.
Open was with Feed. Feed is pretty much Open's scamming buddy.
Though, when you watch some of these, you really get the idea that Graham was the one leading the entire thing.
The deal was I'd give him $50 and a shout out for a Minecon cape.
I'll give you the link first. Alright, that's the redeem.
That goes to a website, blaze.tk.
User disconnected from your channel.
He says that he's looking for server trailers to upload.
Do not work with this guy. He charges like $200 a trailer and then he doesn't even upload them. He just runs away with your money.
Made a fake giveaway.
Yeah, and you already admitted it was fake, so don't even try and play like it
wasn't a fake giveaway. I just didn't give the shit to the winner.
Exactly.
I don't care.
No matter how many exposing...
No, the giveaway wasn't fake. I just decided not to give away anything. But it wasn't fucking fake. And how dare you say that it was, swine? So this is accomplice talking? So this is 2016, so they would have been, what, 15 here? I think, something like that. Thanks to tier 1. Atrialic and the prime cookies and the resub Bryn. 14 to 15? Okay. So they're still in that range.
Videos came out, his audience didn't really seem to care or even dwindle. He was still growing. And when he did catch flack, he'd just try to talk his way out of it.
DDoSing attempt to where?
Okay,
I can't have an MC resolver of a staff member?
Let me ask you this. Why would you want a staff member's IP? Just tell me.
Who said I wanted his IP?
Well, why are you searching on MC Resolver then?
Who said that? What if I want to see a skin?
And when someone pinned him, he'd brag about it.
Tracker, you staff?
I was staff in my GQ, yeah.
So if I say fuck you, is that staff disrespect?
Oh really, I don't care, because you're like 12.
I'm like 12, but I make more money than you.
Ooh!
Sure, man, sure.
Do you think I'm kidding?
Why are you trying to act hard about your PayPal?
It's
I
like
made
1K
in the past month.
Kid's balling.
Good for you.
That's good for you.
Off Minecraft.
Keep in mind, these are all pretty much YouTubers that he scammed. You can imagine the amount of other people he scammed with no following to expose him to. Nothing about his channel was honest. Even the trapping videos were exposed to be fake.
One of Open's friends recorded Open faking his clips and planning it out.
I swear, Pastor, you're gonna be like the type to make an expose video on this bitch.
If anything though, having so many people help him make these videos really illustrates something about Graham. He was good at getting people to do what he wanted. In fact, at some point,
it doesn't sound like it.
Minecraft server.
It sounds like no one respected him. It's so much so that he needed to say that he makes 5K a month off Minecraft. Like going into random team speaks to talk about the money he makes. It doesn't seem like he was successful at getting anyone to do what he wanted besides that one guy that was suckling on his bosom for pennies, I imagine, little crumbs. Oh, this was after the scam, that voice call. Okay, alright, maybe my timelines are getting shifted here. Thanks for some Luca.
PvP, but he lacked the technical talent to do it. But to compensate, he talked his way into getting other people to set it up for him.
Like, this is literally setting up your server. I don't know why you're complaining
Well, you guys
about
pay
it.
$10 for that?
I'll give you $10 for the clip, and then we'll set up your damn server, yes.
And when they wouldn't do it for free, he would try scamming them.
The prime cook.
All you need to do is give me your work. The plugins.
About the plugin, sent it to him in a file, and as soon as we sent it, he said thanks bitches, and then he spammed John Cena like soundboards and everything like that, and then he left.
I don't play with your crap, bro. You mess with me, you mess with my boy. You wanna know who my boy is? My boy John Cena.
He even scammed other YouTubers into promoting it.
This is the description and shit that he wants you to put for a trailer, basically a trailer.
His talent was in manipulation, not technology, and he didn't seem to want to pay for anything, no matter how little the cost. He was greedy, and this is foreshadowing. Now, there's one last aspect from this time in Graham's life that we've yet to examine. His username, Open. It's pretty nice, right? Well, he likely purchased it for a few $100s off somebody who stole it. See, there is a whole market for unique usernames like this, be it for Instagram, Twitter, Minecraft, you name it. And worse, there's a group of people who are acutely aware of this and have made careers out of obtaining these names for sale by any means possible. The most notorious form for this is OG Users. It's a known marketplace where these types of usually stolen social media accounts are traded. While of course they don't openly advertise or condone the illegal side of how members obtain these accounts, some of the worst stories of targeted harassment and extortion that I've ever heard of were committed by members of this forum. And by 2016, Graham had set up an account to buy and sell usernames here. But it wasn't until 2018 that he really
worthless niche.
Basically, right at the end of his Minecraft
Who cares that much about the
Hardcore
username?
Factions was falling out of popularity, and so this was a natural transition, given that the communities are somewhat linked already, and Graham has a proclivity for making bad decisions in the pursuit of money. You've got to understand, a good name like @Panda on Twitter will go for thousands of dollars. There's serious money in hacking them, and the members of this forum have varying levels of experience. Of course, the vast majority have no idea what they're doing, but at the very top you have a handful of folks that are versed in blackmail, doxing, phishing, sim swapping, to name a few of the techniques that they use to take over accounts. And Graham, being a social butterfly, was getting himself involved with that more experienced crowd.
I knew Graham under the alias Graham, which was probably
what am I looking at?
All the people knew him.
It's like an old sci-fi movie from the 80s.
He used to just scam people all the time. Then he started like hacking people was a sim swapper.
They fucking uploaded Zordon to the metaverse there. I don't really know what that was, but it was intense.
Service. When they finally captured Graham, they made it known to me that there was probably some recovery that was available to me.
Exactly 1 year before the Twitter hack on April 15th, 2019, tech investor Greg Bennett was having a little afternoon business chat with his son when his mobile phone dropped signal.
It absolutely goes dead. There's no cell signal, no nothing. I can't get into my email accounts either.
He was the target of a SIM swap attack.
I immediately called up AT&T, and they say, sorry, sir, that's not your account.
That's your first problem.
All my crypto accounts have been hacked. And think about how easy this is. If somebody takes over your phone, all these folks have to do is use your email address to try to log on to these accounts and then say, forgot password. So then the password resets. It's sent to your text, which is now controlled by another phone that you don't have. And they reset the passwords, and now they have complete control over getting into all of your crypto accounts.
This type of attack was becoming more and more common. While it was originally devised to break into social media accounts to steal their rare usernames, perpetrators on OG users quickly realized that they could use the same techniques to break into the accounts of large crypto holders.
The way Graham used to find his target, he would go on like the Twitter accounts of Coinbase, Bittrex, Binance, and he'd see who looked rich, who didn't, you know, who flexed, who didn't, who looked more wealthy.
Once Graham and never identified accomplices targeted Greg, they would have doxed him to get his phone number and email addresses, and then used that information to execute the SIM swap. In total, they got away with what amounted to be 164 bitcoins. 100 of that was straight Bitcoin, and the other 64 was various altcoins. At the time, that was worth $856,000, but in today's value, it would be worth $6.3 million. So what the heck does he do with it? He balls out. According to the Times, Graham was attracting attention at school because he seemed to have an unusual amount of wealth for his age. He was buying designer clothes, apparently flashing large amounts of cash, and of course he had that BMW.
He went to Gaither? I mean, I knew he was a Florida man. I didn't know he was a Gaither high school man. Bro, I knew so many people that went to Gaither. That's crazy.
Wealth for his age. He was buying designer clothes,
not that it matters.
Apparently flashing large amounts of cash, and
I would have been well graduated by the time he was at Gaither.
But where he was really showing off was on his Instagram account at Air. Now, unfortunately, this account has since been terminated and most of the content lost to time. But to give you an idea of the type of purchases he was boasting about, one of the things that did survive is this shout out from a jeweler to the hip hop elite showing that Graham had purchased himself a gem-encrusted Rolex. Dude was spending some mad coin, but I think there's something a little deeper here than him just having been a 17-year-old showing off. I mean, this was part of SIM swapper culture.
People between the ages of 13 and 25 who are living in their mom's basement, existing off Uber Eats, never leaving their homes, and all of a sudden, they're instant millionaires.
Coin bandit. I've been in the kitchen, wrist twisting like a trick shot. Most you rappers got no bars like a sim swap. E-girls dropping out.
There was idolized members of OG users like Windblow, Xavier, and Joel, who between 2016 and 2019, without any punishment up until then, stole into the tens of millions of dollars by sim swapping, and they were openly living lavish lifestyles because of it.
Make 50K off extortion. On Twitter you couldn't afford it.
I mean, Xavier literally purchased a $200,000 McLaren with stolen crypto and posted about it on Instagram. Worse, he was publicly sharing videos like this too. Notice the sign spelling out his handle? This was at the Hyde Sunset Club in Los Angeles. That is not a cheap place.
Jesus Christ.
And his friend, another sim swapper, Joel Ortez, was there too, posting videos of them dumping out $200 bottles of glow-in-the-dark champagne over designer watches. At least he got this good selfie with those bottles first, because now he's doing a decade in prison at 21 years old for having stolen 7.5
Wait, you're telling me this guy is 21 years old? That's a rough 21. Man, you sim swap and it costs you 10 years of your life. Jesus. My man is not looking like a 21-year-old. This guy looks like he has 5 kids at home.
And $7.5 million. I digress. These were all young guys stealing a ton of money, spending it fast, and boasting about it, and I can totally see how Graham could have idolized these people, and perhaps that's why he seemingly followed in their footsteps. Graham and friends. actually ran into a problem when stealing from Greg.
Because I had a 100 Bitcoin limit in this specific account with Bittrex, they repeatedly tried to go back in and take whatever else was left out of that account, but the 100 Bitcoin limit kind of mitigated my losses, if you want to say that.
And so, just like the Minecraft days, when one scam isn't working, iterate. In this case, that meant extortion.
Graham Clark, who was going by Scrim at that time as his pseudonym, so tried to ransom you from your own email address to regain access to your information for an additional 50 Bitcoin. Was that what they tried to do as well?
Yeah, so I actually had 4 email accounts. They had actually hacked all 4 of them and then gave me access, regave me access to one, and used that as a vehicle to try to communicate and extort more from me.
But as the days go on and Greg isn't responding to the ransom, it becomes apparent
Greg
that Graham has
down.
pulled a fast one on his accomplices.
Graham decided to keep all the money and he didn't split it with the other people.
I assume Graham vanished on whatever messaging service they were using, because they get desperate and start trying to reach him through Greg's email account, threatening that they're going to turn him into the police if he doesn't share 66% of the theft.
Yeah, so I mean, as you know, a lot of people didn't like him because of some of the choices he made. So obviously that's going to come with some backlash. They got his family's personal info. They were just constantly harassing him. Someone sent people to Graham's house to scare him or even rob him at one point.
Well, they're planning his robbery. They wanted to have him like tortured, like
holy
a lot of
shit,
dark things done to him.
The thing is, he was no ghost. After this, he was the subject of a criminal investigation which ultimately led to a search warrant being executed at his residence in August 2019, just 4 months after this theft. Get this, from that they seized $15,000 in cash and 400 Bitcoin from Graham. That is a crap ton more than what we knew about. I mean, I assume he was involved in many similar SimSwap attacks that were never linked back to him to acquire that, but at this point I don't think we're ever really gonna know for sure. Now, while Graham was waiting on the outcome of this criminal investigation, which seized his money, according to the Times from interviews with his peers, there's some claims that he got involved with selling drugs. Everything from vapes to weed.
Why would you? If you have 400 Bitcoin and you keep somehow successfully scamming, why would you go to, like, selling drugs? That's such a unnecessary leap. It's taking steps backwards and increasing the danger to yourself. This guy's such a fucking idiot that must have just got really lucky.
LSD. And over Christmas break, January 4th, 2020 now, this got him involved in a home invasion in which one of his friends ended up dead.
2 people were shot, one of them dead after an apparent home invasion in Citrus Park. The other is in critical condition. It happened at the Seasons at West Chase apartment complex on the 12,000 block of Citrus Falls Circle.
At about 7:30 p.m., 2 teens kicked in a screened back patio and let themselves into an apartment through an unlocked door. One of them was carrying a firearm. Both made demands of the residents, a man with his fiancée, and that man retrieved a gun and opened fire, hitting both teens, according to the sheriff's office. They were rushed to the hospital where one was pronounced dead and the other was listed as in critical condition. When patrol deputies arrived on scene, they located a suspicious vehicle with 2 more teenagers inside. One of those teenagers was Graham. From the police file, one of the kids claims that Graham had essentially set them up. He went with them to the house of another drug dealer with a gun and then took off when he heard the shots. In his interview with police, Graham denies anything about it.
You say, I don't know anything about it. I'm not aware. That's why I gave them money. If they were going to go rob someone, why would I give them money? Is that believable? What's believable? What you're telling us. I counted 5,500. I gave it to them. They walk and they go do the thing. So what makes you think I know that they're going to go rob someone?
From the police reports, they concluded that there's no proof.
This has
of what
so
Graham's
much
actual
to
role
it.
was.
I thought it was just
the only thing they knew for sure was that he was
turbo
outside
nerd
the
who
car
hacked
when the
Twitter
shooting
accounts.
took place. There wasn't enough evidence to convict him, and so he went free. 2 days after the shooting and 1 day before students returned after Christmas break, the principal sent out an email saying those who were involved in the shooting face serious charges and will not be returning. And so this was the end of Graham going to high school, and it's at this point with his world crumbling around him that he decides to move out on his own. And this was possible because the feds let him off real easy on the SIM swap case.
Oh, that sounds like the feds. Why?
Every single penny that this defendant has access to is by ill-gotten gains.
After an 8-month-long investigation, all the charges against Graham were dropped.
Oh,
he kind of like said that they came to an agreement where he had to give up blah 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 amount of funds, and once doing so, they drop all the charges on him.
Out of all of that money seized, they only made him give up 100 bitcoins. They essentially were after him for the theft of $1 million. When they raided his apartment, they found $3 million more on top of that, and they let him walk free with that money as long as he paid back what they knew he had stolen.
Our office spoke with the prosecutors in California about the decision to have him pay restitution and basically not to criminally charge him as an adult.
It seems that the main reason for this outcome is because there is a lot of barriers to charging a minor with a crime, especially at the federal level.
The law may need to be changed to allow the federal system to catch up with the reality that you have younger kids getting involved in online scams, crypto scams that really merit more serious prosecution and punishment, which federal law doesn't currently allow.
I mean, he was thankful.
Hey, Scooter, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
A bad way. He wanted to like move forward and like invest all the money he's made over the years into like a legitimate business. He wanted to work on being a better person in general and like moving on to more legit things.
But I think the real lesson Graham took away from this is that as long as he's a minor, he can steal all this money and get away with it. Because 2 months after April 2020, when he got back 75% of his seized assets, he went on to hack Twitter. And this is important because Graham's birthday is in January. He had less than 8 months before he turned 18.
Uh-oh. The clock was ticking down. Graham's becoming an old man and aging is cringe.
We're watching this story. Several high-profile Twitter accounts appear to have been hacked.
Being called the biggest security incident in Twitter's history.
It's all part of a Bitcoin scam.
Oh my God, this was such a crazy day.
Founder Elon Musk, even Microsoft's Bill Gates, just some of the big names targeted by con artists.
Oh God, if you were on Twitter that day and read the replies to those tweets, oh man, your whole foundation of how you perceived the universe would have been shaken. People genuinely thought those were real tweets from those really rich accounts and started sending Bitcoin to them, and then would check in a couple hours later wondering when the double was coming back. It was fucking wild. How anyone could fall for that is beyond me. Because it's not just like octogenarians that don't understand the internet. These are crypto bros. Like, these are pretty young guys that were falling for this. It's crazy. Like, it's absolutely crazy. Anyone who sent money to those accounts very much did deserve that. Like, I don't know how anyone could possibly fall for something that blatantly obvious. It is the oldest scam in the entire history of the internet. It's crazy. And apparently he made millions from it.
50 transactions have already been sent to that Bitcoin address.
July 15th, 2020, Twitter erupts into chaos, and everybody is desperately trying to find out how this happened and who is behind it. The search goes back to these two OG user members, who both have made threads literally less than 24 hours before, offering to sell any username you want for a few $1,000s. This was godlike access, the stuff of fairy tales within these circles. And so Hasib Awan, founder of a SIM swap protection service, picks up that these two obviously have access to some huge breach to be able to offer this service, and so he posts a screenshot of the thread showing it as a possible lead as to who is behind the attack. And Chewan freaks out. He messages Hasib and says, "Please remove this. I am not the bad guy. I don't want to get in trouble here.
I'm just a broker. I had no involvement in the hack, and it's freaking me out. He was just trying to prove that I'm just a middleman. I actually didn't do anything."
Turns out this was a 19-year-old from the United Kingdom, Mason Shepard, and he was very scared about what his implication in all of this was going to be. And Hasib, having the foresight that this guy is likely going to be arrested within 24 hours, suggested that he talks to a journalist right away to set his side of the story straight. It turns out that he had been contacted along with another OG user member, Nima Fazeli, aka Rolex, by this mysterious Discord alias Kirk, claiming that they work for Twitter and they can get any username. Neither of the soon-to-be accomplices believe it. Scams run rampant within these communities, and so they both say, prove it. And Kirk does. He proceeds to give them both access to rare handles, along with sharing pictures of Twitter's internal tools. To quote Rolex's response, "Damn, I'm in." And so this is when the sales threads went up. And over the next few hours, before Joe Biden, before Elon Musk, all of these rare, non-celebrity accounts are being taken over. In total, they brokered the sale of $40,000 worth of rare usernames.
Oh, I thought it was 40,000 usernames.
33,000 went to Kirk, and the rest was kept by the now accomplices as a brokerage fee. Nighttime now in the UK, and real happy about having just made a few grand, Mason goes to bed. He even shared a picture with the Times of him saying goodnight to his girlfriend before it all went to hell to prove he wasn't behind it. Unfortunately for Mason, I don't think he fully...
Wait, what? Did that say goodnight, Porky? I love you, baby. Nap well. Oh, this is even worse that these screenshots came out. That's worse than facing jail time. Goodnight, Snowflake, and goodnight, Porky. That's fucking adorable. Jesus Christ.
Wasn't behind it. Unfortunately for Mason, I don't think he fully understood what his involvement in this meant for his future.
Thanks to resub Edgy,
Tonight,
Prime,
the FBI
Quinn,
is
and
leading
Neil,
a new investigation
Sweaty.
into the most high-profile hack in Twitter history.
Almost immediately, the public knew it all started on OG users. But as the days rolled on after the attack, the answer to the biggest question of all was starting to come to light. Who is Kirk, and how did they get access to Twitter's admin tools?
Watch it actually be Elon Musk.
May 2020. It was literally only a factor of days after Graham wrapped up his case with the Secret Service that him and another kid started work on getting into Twitter. What's really remarkable is his accomplice was actually 2 years younger, just 15, but much more sophisticated than Graham, and according to investigators, the two had previously worked together on SIM swap scams. Being so young, this guy was never publicly charged, and so much about him remains a mystery, but we do know he was a member of OG users since age 13.
Isn't that fucking crazy? That blows my mind. That 13-year-olds and 15-year-olds are these, like, unironic elite fucking hacker maniacs. It seems like almost every high-profile hack, at least that I can think of, was orchestrated by someone sub 18 years old. That absolutely blows me away. Because when I was a kid, I couldn't sit down and do, like, fucking tedious coding or, like, brute force attacks on passwords in RuneScape or something like that for more than, like, 2 minutes. I don't know how they could possibly do that, especially at that age, when you're constantly just, like, hitting puberty. You just want to fucking think about titties and boobs and Google butthole. And meanwhile, there are some kids that are so motivated that they will sit there for hours and hours and hours just tediously coding endlessly. It is a wild concept to me. Wild. Like, what was the story we read a couple weeks ago? The guy who hacked North Korea, wasn't he like 16 or 17? The CIA and the FBI should really be hiring these kids to, secure things or whatever. Granted, that may be in the legal gray area of child labor, but they're clearly much better at it than the officials.
And prior to this, he was actually involved in hacking GoDaddy. By this time, SIM swapping was becoming harder than ever. With so many high-profile cases, crypto trading platforms were making the move to non-SMS-based two-factor authentication. And so these two took the same set of skills, but applied them to a new target.
The self-employed attorney, not a fan of working from home, but 2 months after sheltering in place, Twitter is making the idea a permanent option for some.
This was just months after COVID hit the West. Amidst the massive shift to working from home, companies were rushing to deploy systems, allowing their employees to remote in. But this wasn't a perfect storm. The two realized this and got to work on abusing it. At first, casting a massive net. They started by compiling a list of Twitter employees on LinkedIn and used job recruiter tools to obtain their phone numbers. From here, they used the same skills required for those SIM swap attacks. Really, it was about being convincing on the phone, calling employees,
social engineering,
the IT department. Hey, we've got a problem with your account. I need you to log into this portal for me. Except it was a phishing page. The employee would enter their username and password, and that would be stolen. From this, they were able to get into Twitter's internal Slack channels and start piecing together who had access to the admin tools that they were really after. The net was getting smaller, and they tailored the attack to target this group specifically.
That's a good question. How do the adults fall for the kids' voices? So I imagine what they did is they'd use some kind of voice filters, kind of like how VTubers will use filters from time to time, right? So I imagine they used filters to change their voice around and be convincing enough. Social engineering is basically the most efficient form of hacking. If like any service has customer support that can actually solve problems over the phone, they can easily be manipulated into just giving up that information. That's how almost all of the big hacks have happened. So I think AT&T was the most vulnerable one. They're pretty fucking dog shit from everything I've read. All you really needed to do was just say like, hey, my phone, my dog pissed on it, it's malfunctioning, everything's gone all cattywampus, I need you to give me all my passwords. And they'll be like, alright, sure, bet. And they just like tell you it. So it's like super simple in theory, but I guess it's just a pretty hard thing to execute since it only happens occasionally.
And on July 14th, one fell victim. Graham and his accomplice were in. They now had access to every Twitter account, and they could take them over with the click of a button. So, starting at 3 in the morning, the two start taking over these rare usernames and selling them under the alias Kirk. But by afternoon, 2 p.m., the gig is up. Word has spread that this isn't a real Twitter rep, and nobody wants to buy anymore because the chances of these names getting reset once the hacker is discovered is far too risky. The pair know this. Taking over so many high-profile accounts is going to draw attention. They don't have long on this admin account, so unable to profit from usernames, what do they do now?
There's more implications than some bitcoins being tossed around on the internet.
Basically could have had every DM on every account for every celebrity within like an hour. Could have sold intel to Russia or China.
But imagine it on
what kind of intel will be exchanged via Twitter DMs?
They could have launched a nuclear war. Not exactly, but
they could have killed Apple stock and made a bet on it and made millions of dollars.
I think we got lucky here.
Out of all of the things they could have done, they ran a doubling money scam.
To be fair, in their defense, the clock's winding down, they know that they're not going to have access much longer. You can't really collect all of those DMs in time, right? And even if you could, what would you do with them? No one would believe them since you can easily fake DMs anyway. So you can't really sell the DMs, you can't extort or blackmail with the DMs because you can easily just say it's fake because it's so commonplace. I really don't think there was a whole lot they could have done, to be honest, besides the doubling money scam. Like, what the fuck else? Like, what could they have done besides this, as far as scamming goes, with that access? Probably find incriminating pictures. Yeah, but I just don't think anyone would be sending that over Twitter. And again, that's another thing that they just say is fake. A stock market scam? Yeah, I mean, every time Elon tweets, Tesla stock goes down, so I guess they could have done something like that. I think stock may have been the only other play. Thanks to resub Absolute Zero in Migs and Sam. They give sub user. Yeah, so I guess stock really is probably the optimal play. But that's really like all. If it comes out they hacked Twitter, it becomes hard to just say that's fake. Maybe, I suppose, but then you still would take everything with a grain of salt. Just sell their information. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, they have no reason to believe the information is valid. It's Twitter DMs. Those are faked all the time. He's a tier 1 Kaiser. I think probably stocks would have been the most, like, detrimental thing. impactful thing they could have done, like as far as a disaster goes. I lost 20k because of this. I hope you're memeing. Don't tell me you're one of those guys that's fucking sent Bitcoin to Elon Musk or Obama who said they were doubling your Bitcoin. Please don't tell me that, man. Thanks to Tier 1 A-Rod, Nerissa, Jealous, and Artago.
I would have expected this from an 11-year-old in 2008 on RuneScape, but not from these two.
Could have done anything, honestly, and you would have made more money. Just teenagers at the end of the day, so...
You know, from all of this, they only received $118,000 worth of crypto.
Oh, whoa, I thought they got a lot more.
It would have been a lot more, but the big crypto exchanges pretty quickly put that address on their blacklist. Coinbase alone stopped an additional $280,000 from being sent. I think we're starting to get the picture here that these two were more savvy than smart.
Get back to the beat, oughta drop some bars. Got enough proof to put you behind bars.
Is that still from the original Minecraft diss track?
It
looks like at 19. They must have taken a picture of him back in like late middle school. They are not doing him justice here. They should have taken a cool photo of him. Like one where he's got like the hood up, hands in his pocket, looking down, maybe a Kubrick stare. They are doing him dirty.
Oh, 45 years? God damn, Mason.
Graham and his accomplice.
What the fuck is this?
This morning, Graham Ivan Clark.
Oh.
Case 20 CF 879.
So, just a couple days after his arrest, the case is already moving forward by means of this Zoom call with the judge and a couple of the attorneys.
Mr. White.
My name is Mr. Mike Oxmo, representing these.
And by now, word had gotten back to OG users, and they were freaking out. They thought their forum was going to get shut down. But one thing OG user members are known for is trolling, be it random people online, be it Zoom calls with judges. And so a bunch of them joined this posing as news agencies.
I was just wondering if you're gonna, take Updog into consideration in the Graham case.
So I'm removing people as quickly as I can.
And it's like, things are getting worse and worse. And then finally, someone
Court should really be like
take
this.
over the screen, and they start playing this pornography.
As was pointed out to the duty judge.
I'm not going to take a risk here.
We'll just reapply. I'm going to end this. Reapply to.
This just reminds me of Call of Duty lobbies. It's a stark reminder that
it
for
sounds
most
like
of
Call of
these
Duty
people,
lobbies.
They're teenagers. And for someone like Graham, they gave him second chances. They gave him opportunities to turn his life around and do the right thing. And so, what do you do with him now?
All new at 6, a Tampa teen accused of running a Twitter hack on some of the most famous people in our nation made his first appearance in court today.
Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren filing 30 felony charges against 17-year-old Graham Clark.
Graham was being charged as an adult and faced up to 210 years in prison. His assets became a hot topic.
Clark was the subject of an earlier investigation that ended in April, in which his defense attorney says he had around $3 million worth of Bitcoin. The FDLE alleges Clark used some of that money to set up infrastructure for this Twitter hack.
They put a $750,000 bond on Graham.
That's nothing to Graham.
Prosecutors requested that he be forced to prove any funds used to post bail were legitimately obtained. They didn't want him using that Bitcoin.
The judge granting that wish.
Graham ended up sitting in prison for 7.5 months before eventually entering into a plea deal.
Hey, Mr. Clark, do you understand that those are the facts you're pleading guilty to?
Yes.
Clark's 6 total years of punishment are the maximum allowed under Florida's youthful offender law. That youthful offender status is available only once in a person's life. It means Clark will be held in a juvenile facility and he'll get education and transition services, which will prepare him for a productive life after he serves his time.
No, it won't. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't think these juvenile sinners do much of anything. At all. But he went from 210 years down to 6. So my man, even with his hand in the cookie jar, still came out with a dub. That's crazy. Wow. Thanks to the bits, DM, and the resub no clout.
And he knows if he violates his probation, he'll face a 10-year sentence in adult prison.
Some might say that Graham got off easy, especially when you consider he'll eventually be coming home to that 300 Bitcoin, which has appreciated astronomically in value. As of today, it's worth $12 million.
In this case, we've been able to achieve justice, deliver those consequences, while recognizing that our goal with any child, whenever possible, is to hold them accountable and have them learn their lesson without destroying their future.
There's this idea that one's on...
What do you mean? This guy spent from the time he was 13 to the time he was 17, spent his entire life scamming and hacking shit, and then was involved in an armed robbery that ended in 2 people getting shot and one of them killed. What are you talking about? And you still got fucking slapped by him. My man is going home to a huge payday because that Bitcoin is just going up and up. I don't know who that guy is in the suit, but that guy's a goddamn fool. He's an idiot. Graham is set for life off just the Bitcoin sitting in his home.
Online identity is strikingly more raw because with a level of anonymity, you lose the barriers of social mores, constructs, and trepidations. And so one can act more in accordance with their true self, do what they might otherwise not.
It was more about, I was more concerned about just the loss of identity.
And so it makes it very easy for someone with a low moral compass to commit these kinds of attacks on the foundation of the internet. Especially kids, because their morals are undeveloped, especially when they get involved with groups like the ones Graham found himself in. I found many of these groups will treat their fraud like some sort of legitimate business. They're boasting about it and they receive praise from other scammers. And so it creates this social group where everybody is accepting of the wrongdoing, and I think this helps them feel like they're not a menace to society, and in fact even like they're achieving something. Having a friend group doing the same thing normalizes it. And I think that is a very dangerous situation to find yourself in, especially if you're someone who is a recluse. You maybe don't have any friends in real life.
Graham wasn't a recluse. It looked like he went out all the time.
Social group. How are you going to get out of that?
It's almost like an addiction for them. They just keep making money to the point where they don't care anymore. And no one online has empathy. For the majority, everyone's a sociopath.
To scam is to not...
I may have missed it. Can someone fill me in? Who are those two, cyberheads? Are they people that knew Graham and, were accomplices or worked with him at some degree, some level? Yeah? Okay. Alright, yeah. I was just wondering, because I don't remember him explaining who they were. They just kind of, fucking popped out of nowhere.
Not add any value to society, which is a real problem when it comes to sustainability. You know, for the narcissist, maybe the convincing argument is, if you want long-term profitability, being destructive is not the way to achieve that. Instead, focus on creating something that provides value, something you can share outside of that friend group, something that doesn't hurt your fellow humans.
Thanks for Cubone, Forsane, and the Prime Pointy.
Just since I was a kid, I've always been, since I was 10 years old, I just always was into money. So I've always started making money. I got into social media. I made a few $100,000. And then I started getting into cryptocurrency and trading, and then it got into millions. But I didn't plan on none of that.
That was the 13-year-old, or 15-year-old, right? His accomplice. Damn. What a wild video. Good shit, Crumb. God damn. I had no idea the lore went that deep. Went that hard. That's wild. Thanks to give sub Humongous in the Prime Caroline in 3-4. Thanks to the bits Alien and Carp. Not tonight. I already have the ones that I want to watch tonight, Alien. I've already got them all queued up here. And thanks to the resub Corgi. The other kid was 9. No, he said he was either 13 or 15. I'm forgetting now. And thanks to the resub Lorab. in the Prime Kelsar? 50. It was 15? Okay. Thanks for resub. Spade in the Prime Smithy. That's literally what's going to happen to the kids who hacked NVIDIA. What? I don't know that one. NVIDIA got hacked? March 23rd. Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Ubisoft hacked by suspected teens. Bloomberg says the mastermind behind the recent attacks is a 16-year-old living at his mother's house. Thanks to the resub. Fusion, Mina, Nick, and the gift sub Kaiser and Tier 1 MWP. The kids are doing this shit at 15. Imagine what they'll do at 30. Well, if history's taught us anything, they're peaking right now. Look at someone like we watched a whole video on him. The hacker in the early 2000s, they had like a whole movement saying free hacker. What was his name? It was a big thing. I don't remember exactly what he hacked, but it was a big deal. He was like one of the most prolific ones. Was it Kevin? That sounds super familiar. Yeah, I think that's who it was. Kevin something. Kevin Mitnick? Was that it? I don't remember. Let me see. This might be him. The American computer security consultant now. And he was a convicted hacker, best known for his high-profile 1995 arrest and 5 years in prison. That's who I was thinking of, yeah. So he made a huge splash, did some crazy shit, went to jail, got out of jail, and I don't think he's done much since. But then I think he might have just got like a real job. So I think he was like reformed. He's a tier 1 Dicky in the Prime. Mons, Immortal, Heartsome in the resub. Hey man. Thanks to the bits user. And yeah man. Hasn't gotten caught since lol. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe Kevin's behind this whole thing. Like he set Graham up. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Just give me a second. And then we'll check out the next one. We'll stay with scams. We'll do the CoffeeZilla one here, and then we'll go to the Sky Does Minecraft disgusting shit. I'll be right back.